Good day. So I'm going to be covering using the bot with the BDP, specifically ripping your audio CD collection. So to get started, once the bot is plugged in, the BDP sees it, a eject button will appear. So the CD ripping application can be found in applications here. So I haven't actually inserted the CD, so it's telling me no audio CD has been detected. This tab over here will show you your settings. So you can choose between FLAC, WAV, and MP3. WAV doesn't require any encoding, so once it's ripped, it's pretty well done. The FLAC encoding doesn't take very long. MP3 encoding will compress the file obviously the most, but will take also the longest to encode. Next, you can select the destination. By default, the BDP will choose whichever drive has the most amount of free space at the time. To change the destination, you just simply click it, and you're given a file folder structure of what's connected.
We're done with BD3. Yeah, it's a secret.
My NAS is just warming up there, but as you see. And if you wanted to select a subfolder, that certainly is doable. So I should actually have... Where is it? So if I want to do it for some reason, I could place everything in the Black Eyed Peas folder. Not that I'm going to do that. I'm just going to select the internal hard drive. And you can also choose kind of the what we call it naming, but this is basically how the BDP is going to store the files. So I'm just going to delete everything that's in here currently. So right now I have the hard drive labeled music selected. So I want my music, so I want a folder for each artist. So I'm going to choose the artist file name, and then the folder, or a slash. So that will give me a folder for each artist. And then for each artist, I'm going to want a folder for each album. So that'll give me that. Then I'll want the track number. The track numbers will always be padded, but following the track number, I want a dot and a space. So I'm just going to type that in, a dot and a space. And then finally, the track name. We'll hit done. And you can do the same thing for various. So in this case, I've done artist-track file name, and I've also said. So I'll start this one over. So for any CD I put in that's identified as a various artist CD, I want it placed in a folder called various. And then the album name, and then track number, followed with a period, and a dot, followed by the track name. I'll hit done, and that's done. Save these settings. Now ask for the default username and password. Those settings should now be saved. If you want, we can refresh the page. Yes, of course. And those settings are still in there. Okay, so that covers the various settings for the Ripper. So I'm going to go ahead here and pop in a CD. CD has been inserted. CD has been identified. That's a little odd. Don't know why that's coming up, but otherwise, I can just check the back of the card here and yep, that looks pretty correct. If a CD isn't identified correctly, and I am going to go over that with a Jeff Beck CD I have here, that is certainly the case. And if you want to check the cover art, that's covered by this tab here. It has already grabbed appropriate cover art. There's a few locations it will attempt to get cover art from. One is entering in a URL to a image somewhere. That'll go over shortly. Amazon and MusicBrainz. You'll check MusicBrainz for any cover art if it's available. Well, cover art that isn't already available from Amazon, anyways. So we'll go ahead and close that, and we will hit back up to start the ripping process. Yeah. There it goes, and it has started. Okay, the BDP has already started ripping a bunch of the albums. Currently it's encoding one and ripping the next. Generally with FLAC, the encoding will always be about one track behind. I don't think the 2 is too much slower than that. It's maybe 2 tracks behind. This one's probably, well, this one's actually a pretty long track. It's 9 minutes and 22 seconds, so it'll take quite a bit longer, but on average, about 1 track behind at a time. Each time a track is done being encoded, it'll be moved to its proper location that was established beforehand, and a play and plus or add to playlist button will show up next to it. When you click play, it'll go blue indicating that you've actually clicked it. The database should update and it should start playing, which I'm not sure if you can hear that or not. And then the plus button will just add it to the playlist for it to come up in a bit. If you don't click either of these buttons during the ripping process, at the very end, the BDP, before ejecting the CD, will issue a update command local to that folder. So when it's done, all the tracks should show up in the media player when they're done. So kind of give you an idea of what that will look like, or what the current playlist looks like now that I've added all of these tracks. Go back to the media player, and there they all are, already in the playlist. And if we go into music, which I believe is the little destination location was, you can already see the Tragically Hip album here. Go back into the CD backup utility, and the utility just picks up where you left off. In this case, ripping the 3rd last track and encoding the 4th last. Okay, this CD is nearly done. Once it's done the ripping process, the encoding process will actually start displaying a percentage as to how far complete it is. Just so you're not kind of left hanging, wondering how how much left this get left to go. Okay, the entire ripping process is done. The BDP is just going to issue a global update command here momentarily, which we may not see because there it goes. And then, yeah, there it goes. Ejected the CD. And that's updating. And there we go. So if we go into media player, we go to music, Tragically Hip, we are the same. We see 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and there's all 12 tracks listed. The next CD I'm gonna use is a Jeff Beck CD. Now this CD does get misidentified, hence why it's my next example. So just before putting that in, I go back to the CD ripper. Oops. And there it goes. So this is not, in fact, Mr. Moonlight by Foreigner. It is, in fact, a Jeff Beck CD, which this drop-down menu here called Meta will allow us to choose from alternative options found in the database. So I'm going to try this first one. There it goes. It's updated. Just gonna check here, see if this all matches up on the back of the CD, and there's one tracks. Yeah, it looks all good. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and check the cover art. There's no cover art selected, but luckily here I can choose some cover art just by clicking it. And there it goes. That's the cover art that's shown. But it's not the cover art I'm going to use. So I'm going to go to, I'm going to open up another tab. I'm going to go to images.google.com. There's other places you can go to, but I find this is the easiest way. So Jeff Beck, who else? And all kinds of choices here. Oh, that one's pretty high res. View image. Okay, so this is the URL for this image. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. So now I have the URL in my clipboard. I'm going to paste into this box here. I'm going to click the download button. And the BDP has now downloaded that cover art file from wherever this is, and we'll now use that cover art when I go to rip the CD, which is what I'm going to do. And there it goes. It has started ripping, so I will be back shortly. Okay, Mr. Jeff Beck has finished ripping, and the CD has been ejected. So we'll just pop in another CD here. And once I identified it correctly, Let's go ahead and go into the media player here. So whenever CD is inserted into the bot, it will also come up here, and a playlist will be generated called Audio CD. Now in this case, media player will show the track names. If you're using something like MPAD or MP Droid, you'll just get, in this case, numbers 1 through 10 for each track. Of course, clicking the track will commence playback.
A short time ago.
So yeah, that's the bot.